Welcome to Portal Místico, episode 17. I'm your host, Elena Maggio, and today I have the honor of having Natalia Price, who is going to talk to us today about stepping into your power as a high priestess. She is a one-on-one mentor, and she does spiritual embodiment coaching. She also facilitates transformation on a one-on-one. And she does and this is Chloe. Welcome, Chloe. That's my little kitty. She also does the year-long Priestess Initiate Circle, Embodiment Ritual Leadership Program, and Community Moon Circles, which you can find her on Facebook and Instagram. And working with the archetypes to empower and inspire women realigning with their feminine power, embodying their intuitive wisdom, and offering their gifts in the world with clarity and confidence. And I am so proud to have taken the leadership workshop with her. It has helped me, and for anybody that is walking into and embracing themselves, who wants to empower themselves into becoming more comfortable in your own skin and projecting that lovely person that you are. She is the one to help you, to guide you. And for me, it's been invaluable, especially she's really passionate about the rising movement force for rebalancing our planet and creating change from the inside out while clearing blocks that holds us back from living our truth with purpose and power. So if you're like me, that you are looking to dive into yourself and become more enriched and feel more secure, this is definitely the mentoring and the movement that you want to become part of. So I'm going to introduce Natalia Price. Yes, we're recording. Awesome. Here's the fabulous Natalia Price. Welcome to Portal Místico.
Oh, thank you. Such a joy to be here with you, sister.
So I had introduced you already, so everybody's eager to know a little bit about your story. And I just want to say, I find you incredibly beautiful and you're a big inspiration for me anyway, in helping me. And I'm so happy that we were able to do our mentoring. And I want to be able to help other women, especially younger women that want to harness themselves, their beauty, be comfortable in their own skin. So tell us a little bit about your story. Where did it all begin for you? How did you step into this goddessness vibe and priestess energy?
I think my first inroad to it was doing plant medicines as a young teenager that really opened me up, and a lot of Egyptian and Mayan things would come in that I didn't quite understand. And then I went into the journey with yoga that really helped me learn to still the mind, to meditate, to go into that place of inner listening. And then right after my Saturn return, I went traveling to India. I had this idea that I was going to go to India and I was going to find my guru, my master, that was going to show me how to be spiritual and show me the way. And I spent 6 months traveling around India on my own.
Wow, that's amazing.
And did not find the one. And then just after I came home, I was part of a circus in San Francisco of all these freaks and friends. And like 2 days after I came home, we went up to a place in Santa Cruz that was doing a big summer solstice celebration. And we were doing some performance work there. And there was a whole evening of all these different people from different places coming and doing their offerings.
You had your calling, you knew right away, correct? Talk to us a little bit more about once you started diving in, what did that look like? Did you have any fears coming up or any challenges or people maybe leaving? We talked about that a little bit before we hopped on the video. Share with us that vibe.
I feel like any big initiatory journey, it is that because it challenges you, because it brings up all the unconscious that we've stuffed down or any authentic faces that we're using as coping mechanisms. All of that, it comes to be surface when you're diving deep in. And especially in the 13 Moon Mystery School, we work with 13 different archetypes and different faces of the divine, but how we can step into them into embodiment so that we can really walk our talk and be authentic, not just in the spiritual realms or in front of our altar or on our yoga mat, but actually how we can walk it into the world, into our relationships, our business, our parenting, into our life mission and purpose. And
Right.
so
And that,
especially in that shadow work, just for me, bringing up a lot of my own insecurities around showing up in the world and feeling that it was safe to. And it was a lot of, who do you think you are? And even to really claim and own this word of priestess took quite some time. We spoke about this before, but I was raised Catholic and in South America till I was 10. And there, this idea of the priest was just given to the male, and it was the head of the church. And even when I told my mother that this is what I was studying, she was just like, oh, she didn't want me to tell any of her friends, as if I was doing some kind of dark magic or something.
right. No, yeah, you mentioned that. And one thing too, that you had talking about the archetypes, you had mentioned that from a young age, in the course that I took with you, the leadership embodiment course, you had mentioned that anything, the archetype of Isis was really calling to you. You knew too from a young age that you knew there was something there that was hidden, but now it has.
And then in the shadow of that archetype is that comparison and competition, and always looking outside of ourselves to be like, am I okay? Am I worthy?
Right. That's why she came in, because that's something that we were discussing before we hopped on the interview, is about having that insecurity about putting yourself out there. And so working with the archetypes has at least helped me empower my insecurity, because it's not just about all the positive, but you got to go in the shadow, right? You got to get in and you got to go into the sub levels and figure out where all those insecurities are coming from. How have you managed to work with some of the shadow, or should I say insecurities that you had? What was one of your biggest fears?
One of my biggest things was speaking in public. I was so scared to speak. I would get so nervous. My stomach would just feel like I wanted to puke, and my blood would rush up and down, and I would forget everything I was saying. But then whenever I would see other women that were leaders and were really eloquent, I was like in total wow of how do they do that? How are they this clear vessel? And especially my teacher was like this. She's like a total wordsmith and a poet, Ariel. But then what I started realizing is I see it in others because it's part of what I'm here to do. It's one of my gifts as well. And in that place of learning to quiet the mind of that place of comparison that wants to project it outside of me as if I don't have it. And then how do I embrace it and bring it back in and see this is one of my gifts to offer, and learn to just love it into wholeness. To number one, recognize the work, recognize that these fears are present, that this insecurity is running my life, that every time I would see another woman that was doing what I wanted to be doing, it was just like, oh, how does she have it? I could never have that. And
Right.
to bring the projection back to myself, to own it, to cultivate my own self-worth, self-love, and learning to trust the wisdom that was coming through me.
Yeah, it's almost like they're channeling through you as a helping. Did you ever have any dreams where you felt that they were whatever archetype you were working with, or signs, or anything that
Oh,
where
yeah,
wow, okay, there you're here.
a lot in the dream world, and then especially in symbols and signs, because archetypes, you don't just see them, we see them through symbols, through images, who the other things that are like them. And so I would have a lot of symbology showing up in my dream life and also in the everyday life, seeing animals that would show up, or symbols, a lot of Egyptian symbols I receive a lot. And
Right.
for a long time, I just didn't understand it. I was like, why do these things show up for me? Or what would
Right.
happen to me is I would cry anytime something profound or spiritual or like deep emotions, or I would channel something through, and then I would just find all these tears would come down. And then I just learned to trust that and be like, oh, like how when you get goosebumps and be like, oh, this is an affirmation that something deep is happening.
Yeah,
And
it's almost
more
like,
and more, just learning to trust myself and learning to quiet down that monkey mind, and to not believe that these old stories that were coming through, that of the unworthiness or that I'm not good enough, This idea that someday when I become more perfect, more something, or I get more accreditations, or someone from the outside validates me, then I can go and start teaching and facilitating. And
Well,
no,
remember when we were doing our mentoring 101, I had mentioned in the intro, Natalia does mentorship one-on-one as well. And when we were on our call, and I kept saying to you, I don't have anything new to say. Everything's already been said. I feel that I'm just repeating. And you had given me that confirmation that day that no, I have a unique gift and you have your own voice. So let's talk a little bit about that. For those people that are feeling like they don't have a voice, or they want to come in and they want to embark into the spiritual modality world or spiritual world, and they have a gift, what advice do you give them?
I would say first, more than anything, cultivate a practice to still yourself, to slow down, and to quiet the mind. And it be that in meditation, or working with a candle, or with a mirror, or breath work, anything that gets you to train the mind to be quiet so that you can really empty out, so that you can really hear the guidance that's coming through, that you can receive the downloads or the inspiration or the direction for yourself.
Right.
And then when you hear or sense or feel them, to begin to trust them. In our world for so long, we've learned to be like, oh, that's nothing. That's just coincidence. Or that's not a UFO. That's just some satellite. Or so we're always second guessing ourselves. And to stop doing that to yourself, stop doing it to others. Learn to trust in the unseen world. It's constantly speaking to us. And it's like that thing, like a muscle. The more we listen, the more it will show up. But we
Right.
really have to learn to quiet that logical that wants to doubt everything, or
I think right now, because of social media, as you said earlier, a lot of us, or a lot of, at least the women that I know, everybody's, oh, there's that comparing element. And so how to harness that competition, but turn it into your friend and say, hey, I can do what she's doing, and I could just turn it into my own, create my own energy with it. So
yeah.
one of the things that I enjoyed a lot from the course that I did with you was definitely some of the breath work. And then the mirror, because that's in the 13 mystery schools. That's really important. So talk to us about the mirror and the importance of that.
We call it empty presence, to just learn to empty yourself for as long as possible. And then every time you catch the mind coming in, just using the breath to come back inside. And so you can use anything that helps you have a one point of focus. And so you can use a mirror and just stare into your eyes. Not to stare to look at how beautiful, or to judge yourself, how whatever the wrinkles, but to almost see through your eyes and to use them as this complete focus. And it's like this duality, that it's this one point of focus that allows you to expand your perception. And then it allows all these divine insights to come through. But you have to work on it, just like meditation. No one can just instantly do it. It's something, just working out your muscles. You have to build and do it longer and longer. You can
Yeah, I
also
know.
do it with a mirror, or staring at a crystal, or really you can use it with anything in life, to be in that communion where you become one with that thing,
For
with a
fire.
tree, with a rock, with a flower.
Love the flame, doing a fire pit or some type of element with the fire, or for me, being in water is being a water sign. I don't know what it is about water, me and water, but even being in the water and in the movement and just connecting, and just, I think that's the key, is shutting the mind down and then letting the presence be the energy that speaks to you. I think in today's world, it's really hard to steal that mind. So, what things do you do regularly that, as tips for anybody listening, that would be? It's easier to say quiet the mind, but when you have a bad day, let's just say you're having a bad day, what do you suggest that can be done? Just maybe take a moment, go for a walk. But is there anything to just do that shift in the mental for that
I think
overactive mind?
The most important thing is to recognize it, to recognize that I'm having a hard time, recognize that I'm about to have a panic attack, or stepping into anxiety, or that you're triggered by whatever is showing up on your screen or out in the world, or by a person or a situation. And so often it triggers some old trauma from our past or our childhood. And so we usually go to whatever coping mechanism we have, which might be some kind of addiction or coffee or chocolate or sex or our phones, whatever, to just get away from any uncomfortable feelings. So the first thing is just to recognize what's there and just to be with it. See what's underneath. See, what is this thing trying to tell me? And then from that place, start to just slow it down. The breath is really the thing that we have the most accessible to us. I've just taken 3 deep breaths and just following the breath, both on the inhale and exhale, and just letting go of the mind, of just recognizing, oh, I'm in a loop. I'm in a negative spiral pattern. Oh, I'm in grief. Oh, I'm stepping into depression. Just by recognizing it alone, this is the first step.
Yeah,
And
that's
then,
almost like half the battle because you've
exactly.
identified it. I
And
have a
then
friend.
for yourself, realizing, okay, what are the tools or the practices that I know that I have or that I want to cultivate more of? Maybe it's like you say, going for a walk, or being like, okay, I need to excuse myself from this trigger situation. And sometimes you can't go and take a 10-minute walk, but maybe I'm just going to open the window or step outside, or maybe do some movements with the body, some yoga, something that kind of just shakes it up, starts to really calm the nervous system and bring you back into center so that you can make another choice by saying, you know what, I'm going to choose not to continue with this, or I'm going to choose to go do some self-care, or I'm going to go listen to that podcast that makes me feel better, or just some kind of self-loving up.
I think we need to do more of that and not be afraid of the shadow or the things that make you uncomfortable. My friend Alexander from the Just Philosophy used a Rumi quote, which I loved, where he says, "Come in, my friend. Why don't you sit down with me?" When you have fear or judgment or whatever it is that's pushing your butt, invite it in. Let it be your master. Let it be your teacher, so that you can walk through that. Like you said, once you identify it, then 50% of the work is, at least you're there. Then you can understand it. I think it's when you don't know what's going on and you don't know how to pinpoint it, then the emotion is a lot more overwhelming. So I love that.
Yeah. And that's really where the unconscious parts of us start to show up in our lives, when we don't give them space and we don't recognize them, when we don't embrace and deal with them, then they'll create havoc in our life by chaos coming in or other people coming in for you to really look at these pieces of trauma or this shadow within yourself, that it's just asking to be embraced, to be loved, to be witnessed, to be with it, that we can't just keep running and shoving it underneath the carpet, because that just makes us numb ourselves or distract ourselves or become really inauthentic or fake in our relationship with ourselves and then with the rest of the world. And it feels it, right? And then you're not able to, yeah. And you're not able to attract to yourself the things that you really want, because you're just like in this world of just trying to cover things up, right?
And what would you say is one of the main themes of your mentoring that you've noticed in women that are stepping into their power, as far as like insecurity? Is there a main theme that you're encountering that a listener can identify with? I know with me, it was my fear of what my message and doing some of the things that I'm going to talk about, which I channel dragons and I'm a medium and clairvoyant, and I can go out there a little bit with some of the messages that are with my downloads, and then having to present that out to the world. And there's some insecurity, especially like you said, being from Venezuela and what are these people going to think of me? They're going to think I'm crazy. I know I'm not. I'm very connected to the divine, but So I know there's a lot of women out and men that are afraid of coming out and sharing that gift. So in your mentoringship, have you encountered something like a common theme with maybe the energies that you want to share?
Definitely that fear of what others will think is such a big one. And especially if you're raised in a culture where that is given a lot of importance. And I know in South America, it's like the rumors, what don't let other people talking about you, right? It affects us in a big way. And then that fear of being humiliated or that fear of failure, because then you'll look stupid in other people's eyes and you'll feel like a failure. But then we even go even deeper, what's underneath that,
Right.
and that sense that some of the core issues I feel that so many of us humans have is not
That
feeling worthy to be loved or to have a good life or to be worthy to be accepted or to be successful, to have a good partner. The unworthiness piece is such a core issue. And then also the I'm not enough, not good enough of this. I haven't studied enough. I'm not beautiful enough. I'm not mature enough. Like those two are at the core of so many of the fears that we have in this world. That people will find out that, oh no, that I have this imposter syndrome, that I'm not really smart enough or as clever as I put myself out into the world. I'll be found out. And then when I am, then I'll be humiliated, I'll be ostracized, and I'll die. Right.
Right. Yeah, because we have that, especially I have a lot of past lives that I know I was definitely burnt to the stake or beheaded. And there was a fear of speaking up. And especially I have that throat and the human design, I have 8 gates activated. For anybody that in the human design, I'll be talking about that in another podcast. But it's so important to really step into your power. And as I mentioned earlier, I think when you're on the path of connecting with your divine, let's call it the divine feminine, the priestess, the goddess, that can awaken and rattle some energies in your close proximity with friends, lovers, family, because you're harnessing that magic and all of that wisdom starting to come in. And I think that light starts, it could trigger people around you because you're transforming into something new. Maybe people don't want you to change. They don't want you to embrace and get empowered. Did you ever experience any of those type of people in your life where your friends just fell off the map or you got
Yes,
criticized?
definitely. And a piece that I really worked a lot with was that I didn't want to shine too brightly or be too big or too beautiful, because then I was going to make other women feel less than. And so I would dim my light. And especially I'm a tall person. And so I was always like hunching over so I wouldn't be taller than the boys. And I didn't want to make anyone feel bad or insecure around me. And I would take it on like it was my fault.
Wow.
And my mentor really helped me to work with that it really serves no one for any of us to play small. Like now we are all being.
Talk to us a little about the Initiate Circle. It just started, right? It's for a year, for 13
Yes.
months.
It's called the Priestess Initiate Circle.
Oh,
And
the
it's a year.
Circle.
Priestess Initiate Circle. And it's a year-long journey diving into the feminine mysteries, working with these 13 archetypes of the sacred feminine through embodiment, through alchemy, through archetypal psychology, and really diving deep within each one of us to step into all aspects of our power, finding our voice, and really offering our gifts into the world, to trust ourselves, to trust what's coming through and the unique purpose and gifts that each one of us has been given to bring into this world. And so
Wow.
we just started last Saturday, but for the next month, I'm still leaving spaces open and available for other beings, to women, to come in and join us into our sisterhood.
Oh, wonderful. And then how does that work? Do you meet once a week or once a month or
We
is
meet
it?
once a month in one of the archetypal temples. Right now, we're in the temple of the Great Mother, really working with those pieces of unworthiness and feeling unloved, and to really trust that we are supported. And so we have
Wow.
2 main calls a month. And then we have other sister group coaching. And then I do some one-on-one coaching with everyone every couple of months. And then
Wonderful.
we have two, this is a virtual retreat, virtual study. And then we have two in-person retreats here in my home temple, just for us to really step into that richness of being in person and doing the practices and really holding a resonant, coherent space in ceremony and ritual.
That's amazing. And you're also doing new moon and full moon ceremony. I did mention that in the intro. I love doing that because I definitely believe the power of the full moon and then the new moon and setting your intentions or seeing the fruition. Talk to us a little bit about that. I know you've been doing that now for quite some time.
Yes, for many years, I was doing it in person here in the town where I live in Northern California, Nevada City. And then when COVID hit, I really took it online. And it's been amazing because I could just reach so many more
That's
women.
people, right?
Yeah. And it really taught me to get my confidence in speaking on video online and to just step through that fear. And that fear of, oh, wait, I don't know everything I'm going to say, or I don't have it all together yet. And just trusting that it's not about me. It's about what I'm bringing through and wanting to empower and inspire other women.
That's a great example.
And the full moon calls are a monthly call that I do using one of these archetypes to dive into these different pieces and really aligning it with harnessing the power of the moon and the astrology for us to really amplify and radiate out what our intentions are, what we want to step into more clearly, and to speak it, to be witnessed in it, to feel this support of sisterhood. And so
Wow.
I make those calls just by donation. So everyone who wants to can just come and be a part of and really get a taste of what it is to step into this deeper archetypal work and working with me.
Right. No, I think it's super powerful. And this is so funny because I wanted to ask you a question that I was asked and I wanted to hear your feedback on it. But so are you always embodying the priestess? Like the way you dress, the way because somebody approached me the other day and they're like, well, are you just doing the post and you're dressed in a certain way? And I said, I'm wearing some kimonos that are ceremonial and they're $350. So no, I'm not just going to go out and go shopping at the grocery store. But one thing that I wanted to, and I told them, I said, I'm not defined by what I'm wearing. It's how I feel from the inside out. So yes, I like to do this for me. I wear the kimonos for me. And if you're like me going through some of the things that happen when you're 50, I just need things that are for me to celebrate my own inner beauty. And what's your take on that? Because a lot of people were, oh, if you're a priestess, then I don't know, there was a little bit of negative connotation with it. And I think for women that want to embrace that and maybe change their look, I've changed my look since I've started this journey. And it's because I wanted to let the old one go. I'm no longer, my name is Beatrice, but I was Beatrice Elena, and I let Beatrice just go do her thing. And now I'm embarking into Elena, but there's a lot of people that want to transform. What's your thoughts on that as far as just your embodiment and your sensuality and how you portray yourself day to day when you're at home?
I think it's full spectrum. I feel like it's however anybody feels, and to hell what other people want to project on you or think you should be like or not. I don't think anyone is ever any one thing all the time. And sure, I'm at home in my sweats or in my shorts or whatnot. I think we all are aware of what we show up as on social media isn't the full picture either. And like I said, no one is defined by what they wear or what they choose or don't choose to look like. And the truth is, if those people are judging us for those kind of things, they're not really the kind of people that matter to us.
Right.
And that's a big thing that I constantly want to remind people. Like, we're always so afraid of the haters or that someone's going to troll us or judge us. And so then we're giving those very few people all this power to us. But who are they anyway in our lives? Do they really have importance or value? And are they doing anything good with their life? Because I feel like if they truly were, they wouldn't give a shit and they wouldn't be judging those things. They shouldn't be the measure of how we feel about ourselves or how we feel to show up or not show up by what others are thinking. There's so many more people that want to see us thrive and shine and radiate, and we lift them up. And I think the compass should always be inside by, how we feel that we want to wear and that we want to present ourselves at. And at any moment to have the freedom to reinvent ourselves. No one has any power over us or force us to stay with any brand or image or any of that nature.
That's a great answer. I love that. I feel like I'm a chameleon. It depends on, I'm very versatile in the way that I dress. And there's days where you're like, whoa. And I'm like, hey, I just want to change it up. So that was great. You're not defined by your clothes, but your essence is. Guru Mai was one of my teachers growing up with the Siddha Yoga Muktananda back in the 80s. He was a pretty well-known guru. And then she had taken over, and that movie Love, Eat, Pray, Love with Julia Roberts was Siddha Guru Mai, Siddha Yoga. And one thing that always stuck with me was she said, the biggest presence is your energy. You don't have to speak. You don't have to work so hard. It's just let your essence be that vibration and that frequency that resonates, to be that boom, blows everything out. So it's not about your clothes or what you're wearing. I think just the priestess embodiment or the clothes, or whatever that looks for anybody, for me has really helped me with my self-esteem and feeling more confident. So whatever you want to do is do whatever it takes to make you happy. And feeling and just really stepping into your authentic self was really what I was trying to say.
Yes. And that we're all shapeshifters and we're all feeling different things on different days, and let us all do that. And I feel like the more that we all step out of the box, we constantly give others permission to. And so any idea that people have of what priestess looks like, or any way that I show up in the world as priestess, I don't make it feel like, oh, every priestess should be like this, or this is the model of priestess. That there's no real definition. Priestess, the definition is someone who is this clear vessel connected to the divine and is in service to that, to raising consciousness on the planet. So it's not about us. It's really about that being as an offering.
And being so that solidarity with other women, I think is too important. It's, hey, you have your unique style, I have my unique style, and I encourage you to be you, and you encourage me to be me. We don't have to get into the competition, because I think sometimes that does happen in the spiritual community, where, I don't know, have you encountered that with I know California has there's a lot of people with the movement, with the spiritual modalities. Have you ever felt in your community, maybe the women were not better, but sometimes there's the undertones?
I haven't personally, but because I don't feel like that's a story that's part of my thing. I don't attract to me that kind of catty or jealousy or betrayal kind of things. But also in the 13 Moon Mystery School, because we speak to this a lot and we address it, even the other facilitators we're all doing this work, we really make it a point that we weave together and that we support one another and lift each other up, and trying to be as authentic to really address when shit comes up.
Yeah, no, and I love that about working with you. So talk to us about this. For those that are listening, go to YouTube to see the video of Natalia and myself, but talk to us, because I love this. I have taken this on. This is something I learned from you, but it's such an empowering mudra. It's calling yourself into center. Let's talk about that, because to me, that has helped me when I'm feeling insecure, or I'm having a bad day. And I do that. You taught us that in leadership embodiment, where if you're not out in public and you're doing something where it's just, you just do a little signal. So, hey, I'm going to call myself back into my power. I'm going to speak my power. I'm going to act in my power. I'm not going to be afraid of who I am. Sometimes you need something, a ring, a bracelet. I got a tattoo here that kind of helps me, remind me to keep myself in check. But I think that mudra for me has really helped me, especially in the mornings, to set my day. Let's talk about that a little bit.
In the 13 Moon Mystery School, all the archetypes have a color frequency, a sacred geometry, a symbol, a sacred tool, a mantra, and a mudra. And this is just some kind of a hand symbol or position that really drops you in somatically into the embodiment of that archetype. You can also make up any of the ones that you like, that you can make them represent or mean anything for yourself. With one of the archetypes, I have everyone create for themselves like a mudrik prayer dance of whatever the prayer that they have for their life, to create movements so that they can dance them, move them, bring it into all aspects of who we are. I think
Wow, I
the
love that.
feminine way is that we're not just like meditating in stillness and silence and then traveling off to some other place. It's about us really being in our bodies. It's about bringing dance, bringing in sacred movements, bringing in sound, and what feels organic and authentic and true to ourselves.
That's
And so
super.
this mudra, we call it the mudra of presence, where we bring our left hand underneath our heart with the palm facing up, and we bring the right hand straight up overhead. And then we just drop that top hand straight down. And as you do that, you call yourself in. You call past, present, and future aspects of yourselves to be here now into your heart. Then you just bow to yourself. So it's really just taking a moment to still yourself and then call yourself in. I am fully here now. I am fully present to consciousness, to awareness, that I'm not letting the mind and all the things take me different places. And so really it's just using movements. And then if you're someplace public, you can just do it, or you can visually inside your mind do it. The same thing, we work with symbols, that you ask your higher self to give you a symbol of like the vision that you want for yourself, or of you being abundant, or of you manifesting the dream that you want, to put all of that into one symbol. And just right now, taking a moment and thinking of yourself and what you want to call into your life, and have it come into one symbol. It could be an image, it could be a geometry, just whatever the imagination, whatever shows up there, and just taking it and bringing it into the heart. And having it be like a talisman, that whenever you need to be reminded, whenever you might be feeling low or feeling sorry for yourself, to use that symbol to help reignite, to reawaken you, to remember your purpose, your vision, the dream you have for yourself.
That is so powerful and beautiful. People still can enroll for the
Priestess Initiate Circle, yes.
Oh,
We're leaving
okay.
it open, and everything is on an online virtual temple where you can watch the replays. And every week I send out practices or rituals for us to do together to really keep creating this resonant field of embodiment with the archetypes.
Is there any type of ritual routine that you do every morning? You do the mirror. Is there something else that you want to share that helps you calibrate and get yourself going in the morning?
Yes, that is one thing. You would ask me earlier, if I was to say if there's one thing that can really help someone just learn to step deeper into themselves and to their spiritual path, would be having some kind of a morning practice. We call it Feed the Feminine First in the 13 Moon Mystery School. But it's some kind of a practice that you create for yourself and that you commit to and are disciplined with every day doing before you go to your phone or go to your workout or your to-do list or whatever the things are. Just something that stills your mind, that drops you inside, that connects you with that deeper essence of who you are. And it might be something as simple as lighting a candle. It could be as simple as cleaning your altar, doing some breath work or some dance, or going outside and taking a walk in nature. Or it could even be self-pleasuring, or it could be lying in your own bed and just taking 10 deep breaths. Just something that you can commit to with yourself. And maybe at least for a week, doing the same thing, to still the mind, to just get centered, to empty out.
Right.
And this was just crucial. This will change your whole life.
I think
Just commit to that.
I think that's always been one of the being consistent And I will confess, I am guilty that I don't always, I do it 90% of the time, but I do have a little bit of lapse time where I woke up late, I didn't get it. My day just not flowing very well because I didn't call myself into presence. But I think it's okay too. If you can't do it every day, try, but it's okay if you don't. But I just wanted to say for all of us out there that sometimes we forget or make it a priority because it is going to make or break your day. How
Yes.
you start your morning is going to determine how your day is going to go. And I think that you can vouch for that. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. And I feel like we're all human and everybody wobbles and slips and slides. And even if you don't get to do it that morning, maybe there's another moment where you just sit and have a cup of tea. What I do is I get my morning warm lemon water and I sit at my altar and I light a candle. And then I go for a tiny little 10-minute walk on our property, just to get the biorhythms with the sunlight, with nature. And then other mornings, I don't have time for that. And it's something much quicker, or maybe it's while I have 5 minutes waiting for my son at school, just to learn to slow down, become aware of all the things that are pulling you out, bringing yourself in. And the more we do this, then when chaos happens or trigger or stress comes up, we can more quickly, it's like a muscle that we've built, we can come in and be like, okay, regardless of my outside situation, I can find my center.
It's so powerful. For all you people that want to enroll, you still have time to be with Natalia. I really appreciate you coming on. I know we've definitely touched on a lot of points. And how can people reach you? I'm going to put all your information, of course, here on the podcast link. But is there any other things that you're doing? Well, you're already doing a lot. You're doing the full moon ceremonies. You're also doing the initiate 1 year.
Yeah.
So, and then you're doing your mentoring, which is always open. If somebody wanted to reach out to you about their business, what you work with. Before we leave today, what type of women in business? Is it just open for anybody, or is it more with the spiritual for anybody that's listening to the podcast?
The one-on-one mentorship I do is with anybody who's just wanting greater direction, wanting to really map out a structure for them to flow, to really name some of their blockages and their issues, and really receive guidance and working into, okay, what is the best way that I can address this and move forward to thrive and be successful? And more than anything, to really have that inner peace and sense of self. That one-on-one work I do is available for everybody. And then I have the Embodied Ritual Leadership program that's going to come up again in the fall. This is an 8-week program that is stepping into more feminine leadership and guiding others.
I did that one. I also did the Spanish podcast in Spanish. And I also talked about Natalia for the bilingual speakers. I did an in-depth priestess, how to connect with your goddess, divine feminine priestess energy. It has changed my life. For all the women out there that are listening to this, call Natalia, register, and get on your path to rediscovering yourself. And don't be afraid to shine. Don't be afraid to speak your truth. Step into your own, be comfortable in your own skin. I think that for me is if there's anything that I could help anybody who struggled like that with me, I was just sometimes not comfortable in my own skin. And once you start stepping into it and you get more comfortable, it is such a game changer.
Yes. To own who you are. Yeah. To have your freak flag out, realizing no one's like you. You can't fit in. We're not meant to do that.
No.
Yeah. To really allow yourself to be who you are. I feel like the feminine rising movement is one that is about each one of us women supporting and uplifting each other, inspiring each other to rise up together, to step out this old story of separation, of not belonging. Let's be done with it and really come together to seed a new earth, to create a new way of how to work on this planet.
Aho. Absolutely. I'm all about helping other women and empowering Natalia too. So if you want to be part of it, follow me on Mystic Portal or Natalia Price. I know she's going to be coming back on the podcast again. And if you have any questions, people can write to you. NataliaPrice.com is your website.
Yes. Yeah. And then on May 5th, I'm offering another full moon circle in the archetype of the Great Mother for this eclipse, this next eclipse that we're stepping
Oh,
into on the full moon of Scorpio. So
ooh,
that's May 5th. And this circle is open to everyone, even men or women. It's by
right.
donation or not. It's free to whoever just wants to join and to be in this energy of the Great Mother.
Right now, I'm definitely going to be there. And I know we're in between eclipse season. Mercury's going retrograde. I am so pleased at how well this is going because I was worried of technical issues arising. It has been so much fun doing this with you today.
Thank you so much for this opportunity and just for you offering your gifts and showing other women what it's like to just step forward and give it.
And do it. Get out there. Don't worry about it. Awesome.